It's the second day of summer, April 25th. Yesterday was our official first day of summer, which is a public holiday here in Iceland. Goes back to old traditions, the first day of the old month of Harpa, if I remember correctly, stating or marking the point at which the summer half of the year begins. And well, it's laughable to talk about summer at this time of year because the temperature is only usually somewhere between 5 and 10 degrees Celsius. But well, it makes sense if you look at how we used to count age back in the day. We didn't necessarily always talk about how many full years have passed since our birthday, but we talked in terms of how many winters you've survived. So somebody who has survived the first day of summer can add one more winter to their notch for one more winter on their recording of age. Anyway, that's again not what I want to talk about today. I'm rambling a little bit. I'm here at Reykjanesbraut, the road leading from Reykjavík to Keflavik and Keflavik Airport, specifically at the intersection into the town of Grindavik, towards Grindavík and the Blue Lagoon. Grindavik, of course, was massively affected by the recent series of eruptions we've had. Those eruptions are currently, well, we have a pause at the moment. Don't know if it's going to start up again. The town has been intermittently open and closed, was, of course, completely evacuated in the first series of eruptions, and at least mostly evacuated for most of the more recent ones. There's a lot of damage in town. I think the town is still relatively uninhabited. There may be a few people living there now, but it's close to a ghost town. I'm going to drive in there. I don't want to over-sensationalize the loss and the damage that has happened there, but it is definitely an interesting thing to have a look at and document the state of affairs and have a look at what the town of Grindavik looks like today. I'm approaching the Blue Lagoon, so about halfway from the intersection to Grindavik. And it's interesting to see here behind me. I know that eventually I'm going to pass over a new part of the road where the road has been laid on top of the new lava field. But already here, looking towards the Blue Lagoon on one side and to one of the new lava fields on the new side, you can still see, of course, the smoking craters. They're going to continue smoking for months and months. There's so much warmth still in the recently formed lava. This definitely is very odd and unsettling to see. I've been to Grindavik many times before, so it's not a huge town, but was a very vibrant town. And it's strange to go around and see. I mean, there is traffic here, there are cars moving through, but most of the houses, most of the things seem empty, seem abandoned. And maybe to put in context the size of this and the effect it has, not only the direct effect on the inhabitants of Grindavik who have had to abandon their homes, but on the society, indirectly on the society as a whole. Grindavik is not a big town on an international scale. We have about 4,000 people who call this home, and probably still call this home. I want to respect that. These 4,000 people had to abandon their homes. Many of the houses here are damaged beyond repair. A lot of infrastructure was damaged. There are roads, there are cracks all over the place in areas where it's unsafe to go around. So it's unlikely that even in areas where houses are relatively safe or relatively whole or undamaged, that people would want to go back there and allow their kids to play outdoors, for instance. We did have, very unsadly, one loss of life. A man who disappeared into a crack forming in the ground who was working here doing some post-disaster work. A very sad incident. Now, like I said again, about 4,000 inhabitants, 4,000 people called this home. That's 1% of the nation of Iceland, because we're about 400,000 people. This means that 400,000 people lost their homes, 4,000 people, 1% of the nation lost their homes, 1% of the nation needed to be rehoused, and this falls on the government, us, the society as a whole, to cover this damage. And we're looking at, for instance, a real estate market which, like in most of the Western world, was already at its upper limits of what it could take. So it has that secondary effect that's negligible, of course, compared to the direct effect it had on the people here, and still has on the people here. And well, I just hope we'll be able to find as good a solution as can be found to a challenge like this. It's quite devastating to have this walk around a ghost town. The town is strangely, eerily silent. There's a bit of wind now, and I hear some seabirds as well, so thankfully there's a bit of sound. Every now and then a car moves through somewhere, gives off a bit of sound, but otherwise, when there's no wind, no nothing, like just previously here where I stopped, there's this strange, eerie silence in town. I'm now standing in the part of town which was directly affected by the eruption, and this is where the lava tongue here just behind me is the tongue of lava which stretched into town itself and engulfed a couple of houses, a house or two up there. Despite the massively impressive protective berms which were erected around the whole town, both the town here and up near the Blue Lagoon and the power plant at Svartsengi, a monumental effort to a risky endeavor and a kind of an experiment in whether you can direct the flow of lava by man-made earth berms like these, which did work. It did protect the town for the most part, but again, unfortunately, it didn't manage to save every single house. These are still massive forces of nature we're trying to deal with, and they can behave in unpredictable ways. I mean, just imagine this thing moving, crawling forward, all glowing lava, approaching the houses. This is what we were watching live on webcams, of course not this directly, with bated breath, heart pounding in our chests, wondering if some of these houses that are around me here right now would be affected by the lava. I can smell that. Well, the areas, the wind is coming more from the east, but slightly from the fields over there, and there's this like burnt cigar smell on the air, which is something that I find, or you can really smell on lava fields even months after they've erupted. It really is odd to walk around and see strange damage. Here's a house, a cafe, which is kind of all skewed in a strange way, and there are massive cracks in the ground where, well, everything got pulled apart. So this was my short visit to Grindavik after the eruptions. I'm back in the car and kind of reflecting a little bit on what I saw. I know I didn't show a lot of damage to houses. There is quite a bit, but I know even more which is not visible. You know, houses which have been condemned or are unlivable due to internal damage or structural damage, which might not be readily visible from the outside. But also, I didn't want to show a lot of these houses out of respect for the owners. These are still people's homes. It's very recent, and people are still feeling, well, naturally badly about the whole thing. I think the weather was very appropriate. It's a somber occasion, and that was kind of the feeling that I'm left with. We can see all these, you know, we don't see a lot of the damage on the ground still. All these cracks in the earth have been filled up, thankfully, but there are these small flags all over the place showing areas which still need to be explored or you know, surveyed for potential cracks and holes in the ground, areas where the earth might just give in. I don't know what I was expecting exactly, but I think I was expecting to feel slightly differently. I thought it was more exciting in a way, this can be misinterpreted. Absolutely, I don't mean in a juvenile or you know, unresponsible way. But I expected it to be more sensational in a sense, more evoking. Maybe that's the right term. But what I'm really left with from my visit is a kind of somber feeling of sadness. Just seeing a town like this evacuated fills you with a sense of emptiness, loneliness. It's a lonely town right now, and it doesn't deserve to be lonely.